Welcome back to the Restoration Chapters. In today's episode, we continue our journey with the legendary 1931 BMW R4. This time, we turn our attention to two of the most neglected, yet visually striking elements of the bike, the front and rear mudguards. Now, when I say their condition was poor, I mean very poor. These weren't just weathered or slightly bent. They were in a condition best described as a corroded ruin of what once was. Let me paint you a picture. The front and rear mudguards had clearly endured decades of neglect, and possibly a few rough winters stored in less than ideal conditions. What we found was metal that had twisted and buckled over time, a warped, rust-ridden skin barely holding itself together, let alone attached to the frame. Along the surface, deep fissures snaked through the steel like old scars, signs of stress and decay that had set in long ago. In some areas, it looked as though the metal had shrunk inward on itself, cracked and dried like sun-baked earth, a clear indication of long-term exposure to moisture and oxidation. And the paint? Whatever color these once proudly wore was now reduced to a patchy, blistered mosaic. Flecks of the original finish clung stubbornly to the surface, but most had surrendered to rust, which had overtaken the mudguards in long, streaky tendrils of orange-brown decay. You could run a finger along the surface and feel the grit, the decay, the years embedded in every contour. The edges were no better, jagged, curling outward like scorched paper, as if the very structure of the mudguard was giving up. In the deeper creases, where bends had locked in old mud and road grime, the rot had set in the worst. You could still smell the faint tang of oil and rust, a pungent reminder of both the road and the year spent off it. At this point, these parts weren't functioning components. They were relic skeletons of a machine that once cruised the bumpy and dusty roads of India. But here's the thing about restoration. It's not just about replacing the broken. It's about reviving the original. And for our team of metalworkers, no job is too far gone, as long as there's something left to work with. So we rolled up our sleeves and began the slow, meticulous job of bringing these guards back to life. The process started with careful unbolting. Not easy, given how many of the fasteners had seized and rusted in place. We used heat, patience, and in some cases, a little persuasive tapping to get them free. Once removed, the real work began. We stripped off the rust, layer by stubborn layer. Sandblasting, brushing, soaking, it all played a part. Then came the reshaping. Using a combination of heat and hammer, we slowly coaxed the twisted metal back into form, working panel by panel, curve by curve. In areas too far gone, we grafted in new sections, hand-formed to match the original shape with period-correct lines. Finally, after hours of work, came the smoothing and priming. And by the end, well, what we were left with was nothing short of a transformation. Not just in appearance, but in spirit. From relics to functioning parts, ready to be painted, mounted, and once again meet the road. We're thrilled with how they turned out, and even more excited to show you the next phase of this restoration. So if you enjoyed watching this part come back to life, be sure to like, subscribe, and stick with us for the next chapter, because there's a lot more of the R4 story still to come. Until next time, keep the spirit of the ride alive.